Stress and anxiety are things that trouble most of us at some point in our lives. EFT and tapping is a great tool to be able to use to help yourself, perhaps at particular points of stress overload, but also to make yourself have a more comfortable, relaxed way of relating every day in the world in a way that works for you. Now, working with stress, the first thing to do is identify how do you experience stress in your body. Most of the time, stress will show up perhaps in tension in the muscles in your shoulders, or perhaps in your neck, or tightness in the chest, short breathing, those kind of things. These are common symptoms of stress and anxiety that most people experience, perhaps a lot of the time, or at least some of the time. So the first thing to do is to tune into how do I experience stress in my body? And then you apply the tapping to describe that for you. Let's give you an example of that. Even though I feel this tightness in my shoulder muscles, I deeply and completely accept myself. Repeating that 3 times and then taking the phrase tightness in my shoulder muscles and tapping each of the points in our sequence like this. Tightness in my shoulder muscles. Tightness in my shoulder muscles. I feel this tightness in my shoulder muscles. Put some effort into saying it as if you mean it. I feel this tightness in my shoulder muscles. That's how stress shows up for me, in this tightness in my shoulder muscles. Stress in my shoulder muscles. Tightness in my shoulder muscles. It's perfectly okay to be a little bit creative with the wording, as we were then. Now, if you have more than one way that you experience stress, have separate set-up statements and tapping sequences. So for instance, if another symptom for you is a feeling of a block in your throat, you would simply go ahead like this. Even though I feel this block in my throat, I deeply and completely accept myself. Repeating the set-up statement 3 times and then taking out the phrase, this block in my throat, and tapping each of the points, this block in my throat. Don't forget that after each tapping round, or maybe 1 or 2 rounds that you might want to do together, assess the intensity of the feeling after tapping. So assess before on your 0 to 10 scale, and then check in again after you've finished your tapping rounds to see what progress has been made, and then adjust the statement to suit whatever changes have happened. For example, even though I still have some of this block in my throat, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, stress usually shows up in a physical way. That's how we know that we have it. But it can also be left over from unresolved events in the past. So what you need to do, once you're beginning to feel a little bit more comfortable in your body, is to make a list of all the past events that trouble you in some way when you think about them now. So that might be a list that contains all of the things that had you experiencing stress and anxiety at a particular point in time, going back as far as you can remember. And give each one a title or label as if it was a little mini movie, because that's how we store these memories in our minds, as kind of a stack of DVDs or mini movies. And then you can tap through each of these memories just as we explain in the personal peace process. And after a month, or maybe just a couple of weeks of working on 1 or 2 of these memories a day, you'll find that your everyday way is much more relaxed, and that stress and anxiety are beginning to be something that you used to experience.